Okay, well, last May, the U.S. Supreme Court struck down PASPA, the federal ban on sports betting. That allowed individual states to legalize sports betting in their state, and 7 did, joining Nevada. So now we have 8 states that have some form of legal sports betting. It also led the big pro sports leagues to partner up with casinos. The NBA, Major League Baseball, and NHL all partnered up with MGM. And in January, the NFL was the last of those big 4 leagues to make its first casino partnership. The NFL went with Caesars. So this week at the IEG World Conference in Chicago, I had the chance to speak to Gwen Migita. She is the Chief Sustainability Officer at Caesars, working on issues like environmentalism, diversity, and inclusion. And Gwen told me that she believes Caesars' ESG efforts did have a key role in getting Caesars the NFL deal. I also asked her if it's hard for people to take seriously that Caesars does sustainability efforts since it's the gaming and casino industry. Take a look at what she said.
We like to be the unusual suspect in terms of whether it be responsible meetings or 10 years of green meetings programs, or how are we core to driving and enabling stock price improvement. I mean, saving money, you can do a lot of that in terms of capital improvements, but where does the net value go? So looking at, say, legacy responsible gaming programs, how does that reduce risk and mitigation for your potential regulator issues? How does sustainability enable the value add for this? So the last 5 years we've been looking at marketing-driven metrics around sustainability. We have EBITDA targets in our department as well as representation, diversity, responsible gaming, empowerment, etc. Development targets too.
When we talk about sustainability, you know, for us at Yahoo Finance, ESG has become such a buzzword. As you look at all companies that say they're prioritizing ESG, to what extent is it happening that some are kind of just saying, look at this new venture we're doing, just don't look over here at this other thing? I mean, is that an issue with companies kind of trying to trot out their ESG efforts?
So we actually started looking at this about 7 years ago when we were mostly private, came up with a ESG roadmap for the company as we were setting up our investor relations arm, and then really grabbed onto organizations like SASB, Sustainable Accounting Standards Board. So we were a lead spokesperson for their services sector. I think a lot of companies are really on kind of like a catch-up mode. So the most common interpretation is, how do you manage governance, right? So the typical board member might say, governance is about the board, you know, it's not part of sustainability, but in fact, it really is ethical corporation. There's so much influence that the sustainability arm, if core to the business, if core to policy, can really drive results in governance.
Caesars just recently became the official gaming partner of the NFL. Now, I know that's not your area per se, but when we talk about your purview, sustainability and ESG, is that a sort of pitch point that you can use when Caesars is trying to make key partnerships like this? I mean, that was a very big moment that the NFL, for its first casino partner, went with Caesars. Is that something that helps in that meeting of saying, you know, go with us instead of an MGM or one of our competitors?
Sure. So pitch points, we are core to pitches, including the NFL pitch point. CSR for us was very focused around both serious issues as well as identity-based interests. So they were interested in working with veterans, for example. There are supportive clubs around the NFL Alumni Association. We have maybe an 8-year track record on World Series of Poker for One Drop as well. Raised tens of millions of dollars through that. And then you've got horse racing. So that's the last 20 years. We've grown through Harrah's Louisiana Downs, most recently the Hoosier Park facilities, Indiana Grand, and around Indianapolis area. So all of this work is, you really got to look at, I think, what we feel is, look at track record, build incrementally, and where we're challenged is, how do you build in transformational approaches?
All right, that was interesting to hear Gwen Migita say that the ESG efforts by Caesars had a role in the NFL deal. I wonder. We'll see. Hard to know.